right, party people. Let me just double check. The audio is all good. The audio is all good. I have my chat and my Discord on. I'm dual streaming right now to both sides. And today, what's up, guys? It's Sunday here where I am, Sunday evening. And given that it's Sunday, I had some appointments earlier in the day. Now I'm about to just go through the Khan Academy introduction to the reading test. I wanted to do the writing test also today, but we'll see. I don't know. It seems like I'm not sure how long these things will take, and I can only stream for about an hour today. So I'm gonna go through it, and I'm gonna ask myself, what's actually useful. What are some of the things that I would comment on in terms of, how you should be preparing for the last week. Presumably, if you're in the last week, you can't be doing real dramatic things. So mainly what you want to be doing is stabilizing kind of the scores that you've been getting. But also just reminding yourself of sort of common sense tips and tricks, and not losing sight of that kind of perspective. So I just want to be able to kind of go through the Khan Academy course, which I've never seen before, and just dig up what we can learn, and while not freaking out about our performance on the SAT. So yeah, let me make sure that everything's set up. Okay, now we have this screen right now. All right, so in Khan Academy, if you joined, right now we have, might as well give a quick little update. There are 3 of you guys who've joined the vocabulary.com group. There's 1 of you guys that joined the Khan Academy group, and there's no one who's specifically said, "Hi, I'm here for the SAT" on Discord. I know it's kind of a scary thing, honestly, since these are just strangers online. But if you've seen my streams, or if you know me directly from my classes in Korea, just be friendly, just say hi, and encourage other people to share their thoughts and their concerns. I'm here with you guys though for the last week. Obviously, one thing that's a little hard for me is at this moment is not knowing what level you guys are. So if you feel comfortable, you can share your sort of details about what your goals are, what score you want, what your process was, how you got here, and if you put that into the March SAT channel, here I'll actually show you what I mean. Let me show you what the Discord channel looks like. So over here. Where's the oops, that's all my all right. So yeah, if you come into our Discord channel here, I'm just giving everybody a quick update, and just say hi over here, and share whatever concerns that you have on your mind, and also just tell us who you are, what your journey is. I'll be as active as possible on Discord to sort of help you. So what you from your perspective, what you should be getting is something kind of like free coaching, free tutoring. Now, obviously, it's all through text, so you might not be able to get as much from this as tutoring, but still, I'm offering this for free for now, just to see what's out there. Okay, and by the way, while I'm streaming, you guys can also chat in YouTube, or you can also, you can also chat with me on Discord, and just let me know what's on your mind as I go through these assignments on Khan Academy. All right, so here I am. Mouse noise, I'm sure that's pretty annoying, and this room is a little reverby, but we'll work with what we got. All right, so I'm gonna go into Khan Academy. 0 energy points.
The SAT consists of tests in reading, writing and language, and math, plus an optional essay. This video focuses on the reading test. This test is designed to measure how well.
Oh, I need my AirPods because my audio is set up so that. Guys, give me a second. I need to go get my AirPods because my audio doesn't come out of my computer unless I have them. Okay, let me just make sure my AirPods are connected to. Yes, they are.
The SAT consists of tests in reading, writing and language, and math,
Okay, let me just make sure my audio is coming through to you guys.
plus an optional essay. This video focuses on the reading test.
Oh, yeah, definitely is going through to you guys. Cool. So, one thing I want to immediately before
The SAT consists of tests in reading.
I have a Google Chrome extension. I don't know if you can see this over here where my mouse is. Okay, at the top left of this video, but I can control the speed of this video to like 2.2x. Okay, and I'm gonna do that for now, and I'm gonna listen to this at a very high pace so that it basically skimming along with me.
Writing and language, and math, plus an optional essay. This video focuses on the reading test. This test is designed to measure how well you read and interpret the kinds of texts you encounter in college and your career. All of the questions are linked to literary or informational passages from engaging public
Okay, my first reaction is, oh Lord, this is really basic.
works. These will include single passages, which may have one or more informational graphics, and paired passages. You'll have 65 minutes to read the passages and answer 52 questions. There is one literary passage on the test, which is drawn from an American or international work of fiction.
So, this really depends on who you are as a viewer, but if you've not done any SAT practice, this would be a good overview of like what the reading test looks like.
Such as a short story or novel. The remaining passages will be informational, taken from nonfiction works in the areas of history, social studies, and science. Included in these nonfiction works will be a passage or pair of passages taken from the U.S. founding documents or the Great Global Conversation, works from around the world that focus on topics like freedom, justice, and human dignity. The purpose of each passage in the reading test might be to tell a story, make an argument, or explain a study or experiment. The passages will range in complexity from a 9th grade level or explain the purpose of each passage on topics like freedom, justice, and human conversation.
Right, the Great Global Conversation is oftentimes what we just call the history passage, right? So we have that.
Range in complexity from a 9th grade level up to what you expect to see in the first year of college or other post-secondary training. The questions on the reading test fall into 3 main categories: information and ideas, questions that focus on what the passage says, directly or indirectly, rhetoric, questions that ask you to think about how the author conveys his or her meaning, and synthesis, questions that require you to draw conclusions and make connections between passages or between passages and informational graphics.
So synthesis.
You're in the right place to learn more about the SAT reading test, right here on Khan Academy. So let's get started with some free hands-on practice.
There's nothing sexy there's nothing sexy here. Next assignment, let's go.
Here on Khan Academy. So let's get started with some free hands-on practice.
Oh, this interface is kind of interesting. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through this to the next video. Reading test overview. There's the literary one. There's the informational ones. And these are the examples of those. It's interesting that this doesn't turn into completed for some reason. It's kind of annoying.
Some free hands-on practice.
I wonder why. Is it because I'm doing it too quickly? Okay, well, here we go. U.S. and world literature. There's almost always a literature passage. Oh, sorry, no. There always is a literature passage, and it almost always is the first passage, but that's not always the case. History, social studies. This is Oh, there are 2 texts, right? That's true. There is one social science one that a lot of times it tends to be like cognitive science or psychology. Siri, for some reason, is
I'm not sure.
Ignore me, Siri, please. Don't talk to me. Okay, and then there's the founding documents, Great Global Conversation one, which is more of a history-oriented one. Yeah, sometimes it's like vaguely economics related, and a lot of times I notice it feels more like psychology-oriented, but there is that passage as well. Then there's the founding documents, Great Global Conversations one, which is the history one. It tends to be written, like like the thing that I think is scary for everybody is it tends to be written like more than 100 years ago or about 100 years ago. So sometimes harder to read. It's frequently harder to read. And then there's like the science passages. One of them, and these are the hard science passages, not the social science passages. So these are the ones that, yeah, basically you have to get into the experiment design and everything. Okay, so there's information and ideas, sure. Yeah, I have this one Chrome thing. I'm gonna turn Toucan off. By the way, that's an interesting little widget that you can use. Sorry, like a Chrome extension you can use, but skipping that. What I was trying to say was Toucan is a really cool little Chrome extension for learning a different language, but I'm not going to comment on that further. You can look it up if you want. Let's see. I'm looking at these ideas. So this is a pretty decent overview of the types of questions there are. You should be able to draw inferences. That's true. You should be able to cite the evidence. You connect an idea to the evidence you found from the text. Sure. You should be able to understand the main idea and summarize the way that the passage proceeds. You should be able to do relationships. This doesn't seem as common, but yeah, when you're doing two passage questions, oftentimes you're looking for like the points of conflict or points of agreement between those two passages, and there's always vocab and context. Yeah, so easy stuff. And these are the rhetoric questions. So rhetoric is understanding okay. Well, so when we say rhetoric, we talk about like the rhetorical function or rhetorical purpose of a particular rhetorical choice. So one rhetorical choice is using a more negatively connotated word or a more positively connotated word. So that's what we're talking about here with analyzing word choice. You know, like how does it characterize this main character if I say something like naive, right? So how does that, she had naive expectations about the future. Then how does that sort of set up? What does the author accomplish by using that wording instead of saying something like, she didn't know what to expect? Like there is a difference between those things. One feels a little bit more dangerous, and you'll notice that it will have the effect of like creating some tension about what might happen. So stuff like that, you wanna understand how the words or phrases affect the reading experience. So that's rhetorical word choices anyway. There's also text structure. You want to understand how to structure a text and understand how that works. Yes, and then point of view. Okay. What I'm noticing is probably just by knowing this overview, you're not gonna really learn a lot. Synthesizing, analyzing multiple texts, sure, yeah. Analyzing quantitative information. This is just for me. This feels more like marketing of the SAT readings. And it's bothering me that this start button it continues to remain, but you know what, I'll have to move on. Now, let me see if I can, what is skip to main content? Oops. Let's see if I can assign myself more stuff. So, okay, I assigned all of this stuff, so that's all assigned. And I'm going to go through the full passage walkthrough. So I'll assign this to myself. Hey, this is basically this is probably going to be the most useful bit. It's going to go through every single type of question and just talk about strategies. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm going to assign all 24 of these to myself right now, just to myself for now. I'm sorry, Andrea, that your name came out. I'll figure out how to. So I don't know if you'd be uncomfortable with that, student number one. But I'm gonna I'll figure out how to avoid that little bit of awkwardness next time. So as a student, then I should now see, yes, all this other stuff. Yes, I have multiple pages of stuff to be looking at. Okay, so I'm gonna keep continuing. So far, it's kind of boring stuff. Nothing's very interesting. So let's see what we can get through now. What's in this article? A full literature passage with questions. All right, so that's cool. We can do an actual practice. Here's the passage we're working on for easy reference. Show me the passage. Oh, so it's like a shortened version of the passage? No, it's not shortened. It seems like a full passage. Okay, so let's go through this. You know, I'm gonna do it on a PDF because this feels kind of awkward, so I want to be able to like flip back and forth. And as a minor comment, I have never seen this passage. Yeah, so cool. So we get to work with something I've never seen. Survey step on literature passages. Many students find it helpful to read the blurb and then skim the questions, highlighting important words and line references. Then they dive straight into a close reading of the passage. Check out how we do it. Now, I'm gonna tell you something that I'm gonna tell you something immediately. I'm a little skeptical. Okay, I'm a little scared of what's about to happen because I find that a lot of times students, when they go to the questions first, they end up wasting more time than saving. Okay, so I'm gonna be watching this video with a bit of a skeptical eye.
Here's a literature passage on the SAT reading test. Literature passages offer a slightly different challenge than the other passages do. In the science,
this is too fast, so let me just drop it down to 2.2. All right, here we go.
and social studies passages, we focus on arguments, and we look for the points that the authors are making in topic sentences, which often make claims and which are then supported with evidence. But literature is a little different. Instead of focusing on arguments supported by evidence, we need to focus on narrative elements like setting, plot, and character. And setting is about the where and the when, plot includes the what and the how, and the characters are the who. This can make literature passages difficult to skim effectively because their structures can vary so much. For example, sometimes there's dialogue between characters, and the paragraphs you find in stories are way less likely to have clear topic sentences. However, it can still be helpful to take a quick look at the blurb and questions before digging deeper. To illustrate this, we're going to
stop right there. Okay. First comment. It can still be helpful to look at the blurb. I don't know why they're saying it so cautiously. It will almost certainly be helpful to look at the blurb. Before Khan Academy says anything, I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing. Okay, this passage is adapted from Amit Chowdhury. So immediately, my first thought is a name, South Asian. It sounds like to me. Sometimes I'm culturally ignorant. Let me know if I'm wrong. But South Asian, it sounds like, and also now I'm noticing the 1991. So we're talking about fiction from the early 90s, from a potentially like a South Asian author. Okay, it says Calcutta, India. I saw that right now in the blurb just from like my peripheral vision. So I'm confirming it's South Asia. It's Indian. So one of the things that I already know as someone who has read enough the kind of literature that you probably should have read by the time you are a senior or junior in high school is like, I know that the experiences of people who live abroad, when it comes through in English literature, You know, a lot of times it highlights sort of cultural divergences and like internal conflicts and external conflicts that somehow are related to culture. Okay, I just know that, and that already helps me start predicting the kinds of conflicts that will come out. Okay, those predictions are not necessarily going to be correct, but it already gives me something to focus on. I'm going to be focusing on, you know, how like different cultures might be clashing. You know, it could be cultures between countries. It could even be cultures between generations, like an older generation and like a younger generation, like a grandmother and a grandson or something like that. But I'm looking for those kinds of conflict immediately, or at least I'm ready for those kinds of conflicts immediately. Then I look at the title, A Strange and Sublime Address, and I don't get any information from that. I don't know what that means. Then I see the 10-year-old boy, then I see the mother, and then I see the uncle, and then what is a really important keyword that I'm seeing right now? Can you guess? The like extremely stupid important keyword, the keyword that kind of helps me already like predict what the conflict of this, what the overall gist of this whole story is gonna be. It's literally a single word. Can you guess? It's visit. Okay, I see the word visit. I see that means they're not from Calcutta. Okay, the mother, the aunt, the uncle, and Sandeep, these four people, are in potentially and probably America, okay? And they're going to visit a different place, a culture clash, expectation clash, young boy trying to learn to be more Indian and maybe being neurotic about not being Indian enough or being too American and wanting to be more Indian, and you know, all of that stuff I'm getting from literally the first, 15 seconds maximum of just reading that blurb. Okay, so you should never skip the blurb.
We're going to approach this literature passage with a modified version of a popular strategy called SQ3R, which stands for survey, question, read, recite, and review. If you like this method, please.
Survey, question, I don't know what 3R. I know what the 3 R's are, but again, I'm skeptical. Let's
encourage you to practice it and work it into your approach on test day. In this video, I'll focus on the first two steps, survey and question. In the survey step, I'll read the introductory blurb and skim through the questions, but I'm not going to try to skim the entire passage. For the reasons I mentioned earlier, a lot of students find that a skimming step is not a good use of time on literature passages. However, students often find that just surveying the questions gives them a rough idea of the overall shape and focus of the story. So after this survey step, I'll quickly ask myself about what might happen in the story, which will prepare my brain for a closer look at the passage.
I have a immediate... Okay, I'll tell you why I'm skeptical of the SQ3R. Especially the surveying the questions bit. If you survey the questions, let me say it a different way. If you ask anybody who has who gets consistent perfect scores on the reading, I'm genuinely curious. Do they survey the questions first? In my experience, I've seen not a lot of cases of them actually like working through the questions first. It's a lot of time. So maybe if you can manage it where you're basically just kind of like skimming it for some keywords and you're doing it within 20 seconds, maybe that would be worth it. It's something I could try next time. Just to put it to the test, put everything I'm saying to the test. But from my experience, I get my perfect scores. It's not always perfect because on my YouTube streams, because I'm having to explain it while I'm doing it. But when I take the test, I don't even look at the questions. I just go straight to the passage.
I'll be doing this way slowed down for instructional purposes, but this process can be completed very quickly. With practice, many students find they can complete this step in about a minute for literature passages. That leaves them with about 12 minutes to work.
A minute? Color me skeptical. A minute?
Through the passage, one big chunk at a time, and answer some of the questions as they go along. So, that's the goal. Let's get started with that introductory blurb. And the blurb is very important. Don't skip the blurb because it gives you all sorts of important information. So, this passage is adapted from Amit Chaudhry, A Strange and Sublime Address. Copyright 1991 by Amit Chaudhry. A 10-year-old boy named Sandeep travels with his mother, his aunt Mamima, and his uncle Chotomama to visit family in Calcutta, India. Alright, so already we've got at least 4 characters: Sandeep, his mother, his aunt Mamima, and his uncle Chotomama. And it takes...
I love what he's doing right now, though. He is... I tend to circle, But I tend to circle proper nouns or like specific concepts because anything that I feel like is going to return, because I want to have that circle sort of focus my eye. But when there's characters in the blurb, I basically always circle them because I want to quickly see who they are when I forget, because I almost certainly will forget what some of their names are. Like his aunt's name is Mamima, and I might get confused midway. Like, was that the mom or was that the aunt? So circling that word Mamima will make it very, very quick and easy for my eyes to flip towards the blurb, find the Mamima, and then flip back to where I was reading. Okay, so I like what he's doing with underlining all four of the like names basically, or the characters, and I would go one step further and circle them.
And it takes place in India. Cool. That's our blurb. Let's not even look at the passage. Let's move over to the questions. All right, question 1. According to the
Oh man, this makes me so uncomfortable. This makes me so uncomfortable. Let's go.
passage, the old man was standing on the veranda because... Cool. So for this, I'm going to underline veranda, and then later as we're going through the passage, when we come across the veranda, we'll just circle it. This is just asking us why the old man was standing on the veranda. Okay, question number 2. In the passage, the yogurt and the sweetmeats are compared to... Cool. So again, this is another keyword kind of question. So as we go through the passage, we'll be looking for yogurt and sweetmeats, the mentions of that. Question 3, as used in lines 33 and 35, air mostly means I'm going to dip over to the passage, look for lines 33 and 35. Okay, there's line 30, 31, 32, 33, air. Going to underline that. 34, 35, air again. And that's question 3. I'm going to put that in the sidebar. All right, question 4, the character's behavior during the gift giving. Okay, so we're going to be on the lookout for when gift giving happens for question 4. Question 5 is looking for textual evidence for the answer to question 4. So we'll be on the lookout for that as we go through. Question 6, the description of Chotomama and the son's interaction mainly serves to... Okay, this is going to be a question about the purpose of the description of something. So we're going to be... This is a craft question, so we're going to be doing a close read when Chotomama and the son interact. Over the course of the passage, Sandeep comes...
I'm starting to zone out. But let me just seriously consider whether this could be useful or under which conditions it would be useful for you. I think this would primarily be useful if you are very uncomfortable with reading literature. Like you tend to be strong on the sciences side, but you're just really terrible. Like you always read a literature passage and you always feel like, what the heck was that, right? If you always feel a little like you're lacking confidence when you read a literature passage, it might be good to just have like a roadmap before starting. So, because at least that gives you something to focus on. But the ideal situation that you want to be in, now you can't do this in literally the week before the test, but the ideal situation you want to be in is when you read, like, when you are reading literature passages, you should kind of know the tropes of literature. For example, like this question number 7, over the course of the passage, Sandeep comes to view the adults as ... Even without reading the passage yet, I can already know from just the blurb that Sandeep is going to go visit his family in Calcutta and he's going to have some opinions. They might look strange to him, they might seem like foreign to him or even mean to him, and those ideas may change over time. That's the nature of stories. Things change. That's why they're interesting. So even without knowing this, even without doing this sort of surveying of the questions, I should, like, if I'm comfortable with the tropes of literature, I should be able to sort of know that this kind of question will already come out.
Comes to view the...
And that lets me save that whole minute.
Adults as something. So, okay, so view signals to me that this is going to be a POV question. That is to say, a point of view question. Because we know from the blurb that Sandeep was the character who was mentioned first. He's probably the protagonist.
This is the last week before the March SAT. If you are labeling questions, you're probably wasting time. At this point, you have to work with the questions that you already do know. Also, I'm not too sure whether knowing all the labels of questions is actually going to be very useful for you.
Of the story. So we're going to be looking for the way his point of view changes, or an opinion that he expresses. Similarly, in question 8, Sandeep would be most critical of which action in the passage. Okay, so we're going to be looking again for things that Sandeep has opinions about, maybe critical opinions about. Question 9, which lines from the passage most strongly suggest that India has experienced social change? Okay, so we're looking for...
Yeah, so 7, 8, and 9 are all talking about, kind of what Sandeep's perspectives are and on this new culture that he's experiencing in India. And again, I feel like I could have predicted that these are the kind of things that would have come out just by looking at the blurb.
We're looking for proof of social change in India.
Although I would say one thing is that social change, that India having experienced social change is a new dimension that I wasn't expecting. India itself is having social change. Now, what are some ways that India could have had social change that Sandeep could learn, that Sandeep could have observed? Maybe when he sees his family in Calcutta, maybe they have like hired help or something like that. And so the hired help feels like not American to him, feels sort of uncomfortable for him. So he thinks about that. That seems like social change maybe in India. Or there's multiple generations. He's meeting like his grandfather, but also his cousin, and his grandfather and the cousin are totally different from each other. So maybe that's some way that Sandeep could have excuse me. Observe something about the social change of India, right? So those are the kinds of things that could happen in a story about an Indian American boy going to India to visit his family. So I think this is the kind of thing you should just be ready to know. Like just from reading the blurb, you should already be ready for this kind of thing.
And lines that indicate. And finally, a vocab question as used in line 61. Impression most nearly means something. So let's hop over to line 61 and underline it. There's line 60, there's line 61, and there's the word impression. Let me just mark this with question 10, and then that's it. Now, look, the purpose of this step is not to keep all of those questions actively in your head at all times. Do not feel like you have a responsibility to memorize these questions. But I will say, it is really impressive what your subconscious holds on to. The purpose of this is just to survey and get a broad map of what the questions are asking. It's not to memorize the question. So if that's a concern of yours, I would urge you to put it aside. I don't know that there's much else that we can do with this passage right now, except to just dive right into the reading. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'll see you in the next
video. All right. Here's my initial reaction to that video. It's probably not a bad idea if you're trying to get like 700 out of 800 on the EBRW sections. So, and if you're particularly struggling on literature, but I feel like it's more of a crutch rather than a stable way of getting a perfect score. Okay, moving on to, is that literally, I wonder what happens if I just go into the SAT page, but that's interesting that it's just like that. It skips, I want to go into the literature passage. Very strange that it, here, give me a second. I want to see what Khan Academy gives me if I go straight into instead of assigning myself these assignments. What happens if I just get into it? Choose my practice schedule. Here's my practice. Hey, cool, they have like quizzes here. All right. By the way, I'm gonna need to practice math, man. It's been so long. Okay, this is the math section. Where's the, oh, here we go. There's the quiz. Interesting. Is it just different? Oh, it's just different. Oh, never mind. Yeah, you can get it from here. Inside the SAT reading, I think I've done most of this, right? I have. Active reading part 1 is cute. I don't think I've done this. Survey question, read, recite, review. Oh, interesting. So I wonder, I'm not sure why I wasn't able to get, hang on, I'm slightly lost right now. Give me a sec. So I was assigning myself was assigning myself the SAT what to expect thing. And I've been doing all this. Oh, it's over here. I see. So this is the sort of generic, kind of awkward, honestly, that it's structured this way. But okay, it's like kind of weirdly structured, different from what's over here. Because over here, you get the strategies first, and then you get the walkthroughs, and then it says how to approach a literature passage, and it talks about the surveying. I see, and then you go through all those questions. And so how come that wasn't here in my page? How to approach a literature passage. And then, oh, it was here. Okay. Never mind. All right, so then right now I'm noticing what the time is. It's 8:30 right now. I can do this for about 30 more minutes. So today I think I'll just cover the literature passage, and tomorrow I'll try to cover all the other types of passages, and then maybe on Tuesday I'll try to cover all of the strategies, something like that. So today, let's go. Today I'm just a little tighter on time. Tomorrow I should have more time. By the way, if you are watching this, you're not watching this live, you're watching this later. If there is a time for you that works, let me know the time zone as well. I'm willing to do my streams at a time that's more amenable to some of the people that are watching. So just let me know what works for you. So I literally just watched the survey step. Okay, active reading, let's go.
So if you're just joining us now, in the previous video, we did a quick survey of the questions. Just glance through them real quick, and then answer the question by looking at the blurb. What's this story about? And we have that all in the blurb, which is that Sandeep travels with his mother, his aunt Mamima, and his uncle Chotamama to visit. As we go through the things that tell us about how Sandeep sees things, I think my prediction is that he's going to be the point of view character because of the questions that we're looking at. I want to suss out relationships between characters, evidence of social change in India, and determining how Sandeep feels about stuff, his point of view.
Okay. Everything that this teacher has just told me right now about what he's looking for, that's amazing. Like, you want to be literally before you even read the questions. Sorry, I said questions, I meant passage. Before you even begin the passage, just after reading the blurb, you want to be in the position of like, oh, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for relationships. I'm looking for conflict. I'm looking for conflict in the relationships. I'm looking for Sandeep's point of view, and I'm looking for social change in India. That I think would be the one thing you wouldn't be able to predict by just reading the blurb. But all the other stuff, just by reading the blurb, you should be able to predict. Okay. If you agree with this teacher that that the sort of surveying the questions was a really helpful step, then you would also additionally be able to predict, oh, I should be looking for some evidence of social change in India. But that literally was only one question out of 10. And I feel like even if you didn't survey the questions in advance, you should be able to sort of suss that out, to use his words. You should be able to suss that out during the reading if you are a strong reader, okay? So, but that doesn't change what he's saying, the validness, the validity of what he's saying, which is that before you even read, you should already know what you're looking for. That's super, super key. If you don't, so one thing you can do in your practice, like today or tomorrow, okay, is give yourself like, I don't know, 20 or like 1 extra minute per passage, but specifically that 1 minute is something that you spend on after reading the blurb, but before reading the passage. And what you should do with that 1 minute is just write out some notes of like what's in your brain, like what am I actually looking for, okay? And verbalize that either in written form or even just out loud, to like a friend that's like next to you studying. But like force yourself to verbalize what you're looking for. I think just by doing that, you would improve your reading quite a bit.
So let's get going. Two boys were playing carom on the steps of a small painted shed which had the following words on its wall in large black letters: National Association of...
It's funny how he just keeps reading, but immediately my gut reaction is karam, karam. Cultural differences. What is karam, right? What's this like thing that exists in India that doesn't exist in America?
Association of Sportsmen. I don't know what karam is. It's a game, I assume. But there were no questions about it, so I'm not gonna worry about it. In fact, let me erase my underlining here. That word is unfamiliar to me. It may be familiar to you. But if it's not familiar to you, I would say, just having looked at the questions, not to sweat it. A single table tennis table inside the shed could be glimpsed through the window. The boys interrupted their game to give Chota Mama, the uncle, directions to the house in a series of sporadic, enthusiastic gestures. So if a word like sporadic is confusing to you, that's okay. But enthusiastic, we can kind of get the gist, right? They're excited about something. Sporadic means occasional. Oh yes, they knew the old couple. The old couple. Who's the old couple? And yes, their son and daughter-in-law had arrived last night with their first child. So we know that Sandeep and...
So one thing that I find is oftentimes really hard in real reading, okay, that this teacher is not finding hard because he's probably already read this thing before, is that very first paragraph. It's super critical, especially if you have like ADHD tendencies. It's super critical that you don't rush through that first paragraph, because that first paragraph is your sort of warm-up period. And so what you really want to be strategic, you really want to be aware of when you are reading sentences in a rush without actually picking up the connections. The first connection is you're looking at these boys, but the connection that you should be making is after the boys, you have the boys interrupting their game to give Chota Mama directions to the house, ... Right there, if you rush through it, then you're not going to build the connection that you need to understand what's happening. Here's what you need to do. The boys interrupting Chota Mama. Who's Chota Mama? Your eye will instantly flip up to the blurb and be like, oh, right, that is Sandeep's uncle. And you instantly flip back down to the passage, to line 6. Then it says they gave him directions to the house. What that means is Chota Mama hasn't actually arrived at, so this family group probably has not actually arrived, including Sandeep, by the way, at the house of the family that they're visiting. What that means is Sandeep might be feeling some tension, some anxiety. He's looking around, there's these boys playing this sort of strange game that he doesn't know what it is, and we're just trying to get to the house. So here we're in this sort of expectant, anxious phase of Sandeep. If you rush through the sentence and you don't build up connections from your predictions, okay, after reading the blurb, to this actual text, if you don't build those connections in the first paragraph, I guarantee you're going to end up rereading passages, rereading lines over and over, trying to figure out like where the heck is this going. All right, let's keep going.
And his family, our traveling visit family, it sounds like other elements of the family, the son and daughter-in-law, are also getting into town. All right, let's continue on line 10. Is it a girl or a boy? Asked Mamima, rolling down the window. Okay.
Other elements, yes, the son and daughter-in-law arrived. What that means is this is a huge family gathering. Like, it's not just Sandeep and the mother and the aunt and the uncle, okay? There's other parts of the family that are gathering here. So it's going to be a huge gathering. It's, it's going to be like Bollywood level excitement and potential hecticness, frenetic energy. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so they're in a car. A girl, said the boy. Mamima rolled up her window before the mosquitoes came in. The two boys vanished behind them.
Mamima, the uncle. The aunt doesn't even know that information about this family. It's a big family.
When they reached the house, they found that the old man was waiting on the veranda. We had a question about waiting on the veranda. I don't remember which question that is. It might have been question 1 or 2, but we'll find out. Because the question was, why is the old man standing on the veranda? Well, let's find out.
I'm just since I'm listening to this at like 2.2 times speed. I'm just finding it a little fast. Okay, so the thing that I missed in my sort of when I was listening to him speak, the thing that I missed is when they reached the house. So they are now arriving at the house. One thing that this teacher is not explaining that I think I want to add is you should be very sensitive to your understanding of where the setting is. Is the setting changing? And are you noticing when the setting changes? Do you get it every single time? Or do you sometimes miss it and have to go back and find it? You want to never miss it. Okay, if you want a perfect score on the reading, on the literature passages, you should never miss the setting. There's a setting, there's a shift from the setting of like seeing the boys and being led by the boys and finding the house to actually arriving at the house. That's a setting shift. Be aware of every single one of them. Never miss them.
Moths were shuddering round and round the lantern, though the old man was oblivious to them. He had come out because he had heard the throbbing of the engine in the distance. Okay, that's our answer for that question about why was the old man standing on the veranda. So when we do the question step, that's going to be why. We'll return to that text and say, aha, that's why the old
So I wouldn't have been able to predict that question if I hadn't surveyed the questions in advance. Like there's no way I would know this. But the main thing is that when the question asks, why does the old man wait in the veranda? I mean, I already know that that's going to be at the beginning of the story. So I don't know if it's worth it for me to predict that, for me to pre-survey that question and use a whole minute when I will already know what part of the story that comes out in.
That's why the old man was waiting on the veranda. Let's continue at line 20.
Why was he on the veranda though? Just give me a second. I mean, they probably waiting on the veranda. They're just waiting for them to come, right? Isn't that what that was? Let me just double check. When they reached the house, they were waiting on the veranda. He was waiting on the veranda, and he heard the throbbing of the engines. Yeah, he just heard them, and he's waiting for
that text
them.
And say, aha, that's why the old man was waiting on the veranda. Let's continue at line 20.
Which means, okay, actually, you know what? I'm getting distracted by the fact that this teacher had already seen the questions before, and he's like sort of explaining. I'll tell you what I would have actually done. Moths were shuddering around, blah, 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 blah. And then he had come out because he heard the throbbing of the engine in the distance. And if I didn't read the question at all, here's the reaction I would have had. My reaction would have been, oh, this old man is looking forward to seeing his American, now the old man could be the grandpa, right? But he's looking forward to seeing his children, his grandchildren from America, which is natural. That's very natural. And he's looking forward to them so much that he comes out to the front of the house. We don't know how old he is or anything like that, but he comes out to the front of the house and he doesn't even notice the moths. So this is a very anticipated meeting. So I would have had that feeling and that thought even without reading that question.
Line 20. The night had been silent, except for the questioning cry of an owl and the continual orchestral sound of crickets in the bushes. The throbbing of the engine had, therefore, traveled through the silence to the old man's listening ear and to his wife's ear, even when the car was relatively far away and beyond their range of vision.
I find it really distracting. I'm trying to read this passage, but I'm being read out loud too. So let me just read it quietly by myself. Oh, we totally expand on the sound of the car. Yeah. This should be an easy question. I told her that I heard the car. I knew it was the car. I told her you were coming. It's such a cute grandpa and grandma, or mother and father, but probably grandpa, grandma. It's so cute because they're so excited to see. Apparently, they're so excited to see their family.
Vision. They had pondered over the sound, and finally he had lit the lantern and shuffled out. So what does it tell us? That the sound of a car is interesting enough to this couple that they would go and investigate it. That means cars don't come by very often. All right, let's continue at line, was it 27? 27. I told her, he said, referring to his wife. I told her.
That means cars don't come by any. See, notice what the difference was right there. I said he must have been really excited to hear. And the teacher here said, the cars don't come by very often. For me, I don't think what he's saying is wrong. That's true. I mean, this is a place with lots of crickets and moths, and cars. It's probably out in the country. It's hard to find. We have to ask for directions to find it. All that stuff. It's probably true that cars don't come by very often. It's part of your imagination of the setting. But for me, if I had never read the questions before, if I never surveyed the questions before, my primary concern is building connections to all of the things that I had predicted after reading the blurb. And one of those predictions is I'm trying to, Sandeep is going to have a hard time connecting to his grandpa. Sandeep is going to have an amazingly easy time connecting to his grandpa. It's going to be a beautiful time. Those are the kinds of things that could happen. Well, this is one of those clues. The grandpa's highly excited. He's anticipating meeting probably Sandeep as well, right? So that's the detail I tend to focus on. The things that are related to the things that I was predicting.
I told her that I heard the car. I knew it was the car. I told her you were coming. Once they were inside, Mamima gave a pot of yogurt and a pot of sweetmeats to the old lady. I know that this is also, yogurt and sweetmeats was something that was covered in the questions, so this is going to be important for later. There was no need, she said. Oh, really, she said. This is too much, she insisted, with the air of one who has just received the Koh-i-Noor diamond as a birthday present. Come, 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 said Choto Mama, with the air of someone who has just given the Koh-i-Noor diamond as a birthday present, and refuses to be overawed by his...
I'm just a little overwhelmed by, again, the fact that we already know what the questions are. I'm trying to imagine how I would be reading this if I didn't know what the questions are. So give me a second.
generosity.
To just
It's nothing.
read.
All right, that's kind of an interesting parallel structure there. To have received the Koh-i-Noor diamond and who's just given the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Where were we? It's nothing.
Okay. Mamima is giving yogurt and sweetmeats to the probably grandma. There was no need, she said. Oh, this is too much, she insisted. The Koh-i-Noor diamond as a birthday present. It's cute. Okay. So come, said the uncle. So this is the uncle's family. This is the kind of thing that I think depends on you, honestly, as a student. But depending on the kinds of readings that you've done and kinds of cultural and social experiences you've had as a kid, you might miss this. But the uncle, this is like a sly sort of slantwise commentary on what happened recently, the good news that happened recently between Chotomama and Mamima. Okay, Chotomama has the air of someone who gave a diamond, and Mamima has the air of somebody who received the diamond, which means that this actually happened. The uncle gave his wife a diamond as a birthday present, and so that she's very happy. And Chotomama has the air of someone who refuses to be overawed by his own generosity. He's being generous, but he's not going to make this a whole big thing. So they're if anything, they're a very loving couple. They're a loving couple. And so this loving couple comes to the old lady and gives the old lady the sweetmeats and the pot of yogurt. So you should feel when you read this like, the old man was really excited to see them. The old lady, the aunt and uncle kind of are sort of loving, and they're giving the sweetmeats, and they're doing this sort of ritualistic. Oh, you didn't need to do this. This is too much. But it's like no. You have to, you have to give. You have to give. Of course, it's nothing, right? But that comes out later on in the passage. It's nothing. Of course, we're gonna bring sweetmeats and yogurts to you, right? So you get a sort of nice familial feeling. Now, the question is, what's gonna happen with Sandeep? Sandeep is only 10 years old. He doesn't know the Indian cultural code. He's probably gonna feel very awkward. Let's see what happens.
Nothing. It was nothing, of course, only Gungoram sweets and yogurt, but they fussed and created the illusion that it was something unique and untasted and unencountered. So here they're saying the host gifts that Chotomama and Mamima gave are not super valuable gifts. It's just sweets and yogurt, but they treat it as though it's like a diamond, and not just any diamond, like a famous diamond, something unique and untasted and unencountered, so something precious. Let's continue to line 41.
I disagree with that reading. I've already given you my reading of that diamond bit, so I won't defend it. You guys just think about it. Think about which one seems more correct to you.
41. The son and the daughter-in-law emerged shyly from the anteroom. Okay, I want to underscore words like that because I think that shows us how Sandeep is viewing them. Because I think that this is being told, even though it's in the third person, I think this is still a little bit from Sandeep's perspective. They, the son and the daughter-in-law, both stooped gently to touch Chotomama's feet, and Sandeep's aunt's and his mother's feet, a traditional greeting and a mark of obeisance towards one's elders.
I'm overwhelmed by just hearing every single word read out loud, so let me just read it quietly. Oh, the son and daughter-in-law are okay. So yeah, I was just overwhelmed because I was having a hard time imagining what's happening in the scene. I got it. They're already at the house, and the son and daughter-in-law are coming out. So it's a different uncle and aunt now. Choto Mama seems to be one of the uncles, okay, one of the siblings, right? And then um, there's this other uncle from Sandy's perspective. Oh no, the old man and the old woman are brothers and sisters-in-law. So the son and daughter-in-law are the nephew and niece of the uncle and aunt, it seems like. Okay. I just had to double check my family tree because I was not sure whether they were grandpa or grandma or whether they were at the same age, same generation as the mother and Chotomama and Mamima. Right? Are they in the same generation? It looks like they're in the same generation. So the son and daughter-in-law would be the nephew and niece, or literally the cousin of Sandeep. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because they're stooping. Oh no, no, no. Oh, it's
Basins, that's a
Chotomama's? No, no, we don't know if it's Chotomama's son. Yeah. The new modern India. Oh, this is the social change. Amazing. Yeah. But this is that kind of detail you would already pick up if you're a good sensitive reader.
that's a big word. And if you're not certain what obeisance means, think about the context of what it would mean to like bow and touch someone's foot. And let's look at how they react to it. Oh, no, 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 said Chotomama, struggling to keep the son's hand away from his feet. There's no need for all this. This was half a token gesture towards modesty and half towards the new modern India, Nehru's secular India, free of ritual and religion. So this is setting up some of that change that we're talking about. So modern India, right? Secular, non-religious country. I have not met you for 2 years, Dada, said the son, struggling to get his hands near Chotomama's toes. You must not stop me. This was half a token gesture towards modesty and half towards the old traditional India, Gandhi's India of ceremony and custom. So again, we're seeing this tension between Nehru.
I love the parallelism, by the way, in this passage. It makes it much easier to like see what the conflicts are. But yes, um, the Americanized. I'm assuming they're from America. The Americanized uncle is like, no, stop doing this like overly humbling gesture. This is the modern India speaking through the uncle, and then the son and daughter-in-law is like, no, I haven't seen you for 2 years. You can't stop me. Okay, this is the traditional India.
Nehru's modern India and Gandhi's traditional India. This chunk of the passage here is probably going to be very important later as we interrogate
And the Nehru Gandhi parallelism would be something I pick up right away as well, because they're two very prominent political figures of South Asia.
that tension between old and new India, because I know that's something questions we're asking about. Sandeep, meanwhile, and here I'm at line 55, Sandeep, meanwhile, had come to the conclusion that the grown-ups were mad, each after his or her own fashion. Okay, so Sandeep thinks that the grown-ups were mad, were crazy. Simple situations were turned into complex, dramatic ones. Not until then did everyone feel important and happy. Will they never grow up? Thought Sandeep irately. All right, so
See, of course Sandeep is gonna have some sort of conflict. And it's a fun one, it's an interesting one. He's 10, and he's like, what the heck? What's with these people? Why are they just overdoing all this nonsense? Now, is that like an American perspective? Is it just a kid's perspective? It's hard to characterize that, but yes, this is the conflict I was waiting for.
right, so he's irritated, and he thinks that they're immature. He glanced around him. A single blue fluorescent tube was burning on the wall. It was not a big room. Despite its bareness, the impression it gave was of austerity rather than poverty. So if you don't know what austerity means, you can compare it to poverty. So poverty we know means poorness, and if we don't know what austerity means, let's continue on and see if context gives us anything. It made one remember that poverty meant displacement.
One thing I really love about what this teacher does is this teacher assumes that you might not know what the word means, but that you can kind of figure it out from context. And that is something you have to get comfortable with. You have to get comfortable with uncertainty. So it's a really good mentality to have.
Displacement as well as lack, while austerity meant being poor in a rooted way, within a tradition and culture of sparseness, which transformed even the lack, the paucity, into a kind of being. So being austere means perhaps that you choose
So there's a sort of nobleness to austerity. That's
not to have a lot of stuff in the room, maybe for reasons of tradition. All right, so cool. We've read through the passage. Let's talk through what it means, what happened in it. So Sandeep, his mother, his uncle, and his aunt go to an old man and woman's house to meet with their extended family. In fact, maybe let's make a little diagram here. So we have Sandeep, his mother, Mamima, and Chotomama. And they're coming in a car, and they're going to old man and the old woman's house. I'm going to write those down as O and W. And the other people that have come are the son-in-law and the daughter and their baby. So I'm going to say S plus D plus B. Now, the daughter appears to be the daughter of Mamima and Chotomama, and the son is the son of the old woman and the old man. And so it's Sandeep and his mother accompanying Mamima and Chotomama to meet their son-in-law and their daughter's baby for the first time. After the daughter and the
Oh, I guess in all the details, I did make a mistake, which was we had the son who specifically touched his uncle's feet, right? Is that correct? Let me just double check. We had the son. Chotobama was struggling to keep the son's hand away from his feet, and he said, "I have not met you for 2 years, Dada." So of course he's the father. So this is actually this is not a grandpa situation. The son is, and so the son is not the nephew of Chotomama, which is the confusing thing, right? Or even the brother of Chotomama. I missed this word Dada in all my explanation. The son is the son of Chotomama and Mamima, which means that the son now has and so when we say daughter-in-law, we're talking about from Chotomama and Mamima's perspective. Which, by the way, explains why the mom is mentioned. Sandeep's mom is mentioned, but never really characterized. Because the main thing is that we're focusing on Mamima and Chotomama.
Of Mamima and Chotomama, and the son is the son of the old woman and the old man. And so it's Sandeep and his mother accompanying Mamima and Chotomama to meet their son-in-law and their daughter's baby for the first time, after the daughter and the son-in-law got married 2 years ago. Because we remember from the passage that the son-in-law tries to make this respectful gesture to Mamima and Chotomama by touching their feet and saying, "I have not met you for 2 years." And so everybody engages in this ritualized back and forth. First, Mamima and Chotomama giving host gifts to the old woman and the old man, and then the son-in-law trying to give the respectful gesture of touching the feet of his in-laws. And through it all, Sandeep is witnessing it and commenting on it through his narration, or through his perspective that we get from the narration. I think that generally speaking, literature passages like this one benefit especially from this kind of review stage. You really want to get a handle of who the characters are in a literature passage and what they're doing, and have a very clear idea of that before you head into the questions. Remembering too that the blurb at the top of the passage is a great place to get a condensed version of that information as well. So with all that in mind, let's take that and start going through these questions.
Okay, cool. So I am noticing, by the way, guys, if you are watching this, you can ask me questions in real time, and I will, if you have any objections to anything I'm saying, or if you think I'm being overly critical, like just let me know what you're actually thinking, because I do have one eye on the chat. You can also join in the Discord and literally speak to me in audio as well. So that's an option for you if you want to engage. Now, I'm finding so. Let me do a quick summary of everything that my initial impressions of this, right? Surveying, I continue to be extremely skeptical. If you want to get 800 on the EBRW, literature passage should be one of those that you should. I mean, if you want to get 800, you should be already reading. You should have already read quite a bit of novels by the time you're taking this test. So you should at least understand the basic tropes, like what kinds of conflicts there are, and what you should be looking for. So you really shouldn't need to go into the questions. But if you're aiming for like a 700, then, and if literature happens to be a weak point, I think it makes some sense to try the surveying step, especially while you're practicing. Of course, it's also the last week before the March SAT. You don't want to make any huge dramatic changes either. Or if you do make a huge dramatic change, just try it once and see if it makes a huge dramatic improvement. And if it doesn't, then go back to the way you're used to doing it, and then save the experimental stuff for after March, is what I would say. So yeah, I'm looking at the actual survey step and kind of having some skepticism about that. But the reading bits, it was hard for me to read that passage while hearing this guy read it out loud at me. But this guy who's reading aloud at me was sort of already kind of knew what the questions were. So it was sort of like weird, because I was trying to explain what you would be able to understand even without reading the questions, even without surveying the questions up front. But I think my hypothesis holds true. You don't need to survey the questions up front. You can just read the blurb, make predictions, or make sort of like rough guesses of what you should be looking for, and then just trust your gut feeling on that. So that's my current wrap up. Now here are the questions. Try the questions on your own, sure. Then watch the videos. Video first, one at a time. Oh, these are 3 different approaches. Okay, well, we don't have to. Holy wow, I cannot believe it's 9 o'clock already. Unfortunately, I do need to go. I apologize, guys, for the sort of sudden, for the sudden break today. But today, Sunday, it's just hard because I had these appointments in advance. So I'm just shocked that it's already 9. So I do need to go. But what I will say is this: if you let me know what time you're available, what time zones you're watching from, I'll consider that and kind of factor that into the time that I stream tomorrow. Right now, my gut feeling says I'm just gonna stream in the morning in New York time tomorrow. So literally probably in like not 12 hours, but like 14 hours or so, I'll probably be streaming again. I'll finish off the literature passage and the other passages tomorrow, and then maybe the day after that, I'll be able to get into the strategies. Okay, so I'll see you guys soon. I apologize for the extremely sudden cutoff. I also am really surprised. By the way, if you want to join the vocabulary.com group, if you want to join the Khan Academy group and have these assignments assigned to you, let me know. Or sorry, just go into the description below and click on those links and I'll follow up with you soon. By the way, we also have a Discord. I forgot to mention that. I'm just sort of rushing right now because this phone keeps ringing. But there is also a Discord. There's also a Discord. So go ahead and if you want, you can just ask me questions via text channel on Discord. Just say hi in the welcome channel, and there's a specific March SAT channel as well. Gregory, welcome to the stream. Thanks for that clarification. 4 to 10. 4 to 10 might be a little tough for me, honestly, because I do want to produce as much content as possible before the next week, but I might still be online by 4. so let me know how that works for you. If you can say hi in Discord, that'd also be amazing. All right, guys, gotta go.